If it's not conventional, it's worthless. That, my friends, is a dogmatic, elitist mentality that is hurting your gains. Because here's the raw facts. If you're not a competitive powerlifter, you don't have to be confined by the rules. You can do whatever deadlifting style you want. You can do whatever modifications you want to the pole. You're not competing in the lift after all. And the thing is this, right? Different sports have different rules. Like if you go to strongman, for example, you're actually allowed to use straps on your deadlifts, whereas in powerlifting, it's not allowed. So which rule is correct? Pretty much none, because it's all subjective at the end of the day. So that said, there are different deadlifts that will make you strong as hell. One of them being the trap bar deadlift. And I feel that the trap bar deadlift does not get a lot of love, even though it's a great freaking exercise. In fact, I would like to argue that the trap bar deadlift might be the best pulling style for the majority of the population. So let me explain the benefits right now. First of all, let's establish the fact that if you're strong at trap bar deadlifts, you're strong, period, okay? So if you're lifting 700 to 800 off the floor, yet it's a trap bar, that doesn't make you weak just because you're not pulling off a straight bar, okay? Now, I'm gonna hear arguments that the trap bar is a squat and that it's nothing like a deadlift and that the movement pattern is completely different. Well, guess what? The research does not support this. If you look at real studies done on the trap bar versus conventional, you don't see significant difference in terms of muscular activation. You see slight deviations in the quads, lower back, and hamstrings, but beyond that point, the two exercises are actually very similar. The only difference is that the trap bar is a neutral grip, you're a little bit more upright, and it's a little bit more quad. I would kind of compare it to a behind the back deadlift in a sense. That's something that guys don't talk about, right? Trap bar deadlift will complement your behind the back deadlift. And I think that is why, for example, Eric Buchenhagen pulled 910 on the trap bar, 880 behind the back. Your trap bar deadlift will be about 30 to 40 pounds more than what you could do behind the back. So it's a great exercise that complements it pretty well, right? Now, another thing, trap bar deadlift, because it's going to be a little bit less spinal erector, guess what? That means it saves your lower back. And if you factor in the high handles, even fucking better. Because here's another thing that guys don't talk about. Conventional deadlift for a very large population has too much hip flexion. I'm just giving you the raw game. There's too much hip flexion, which means that people have to compensate by rounding their lower backs. They compensate with spinal flexion. No matter how good their mobility is, if you don't have the anthropometry, if there's too much hip flexion, you will have to compensate with spinal flexion. And that's why I'm always trying to tell you that block pulls and rack pulls are so much safer. Now, one of the benefits of the trap bar deadlift is that you actually have high handles. So if you don't want to do the lowest handle, you can always do the higher handle, which kind of puts you like a 2-inch block pull position, 2 to 4 inch approximately. I would say more so on the 2-inch side. And that right there could eliminate the hip flexion problem that so many guys have, which saves the lower back. And of course, the bar is neutral, right? When the bar is neutral, that means there is a smaller moment arm. You don't have to hitch weights. There's no hyperextending at the lockout. It's just straight up and down, and there's a little bit less spinal erector. So this is much safer on the lower back than a conventional deadlift. Pretty much everybody that I know who does trap bar deadlifts tells me that it feels much better on the lower back. So you're getting all these benefits without actually hurting your gains. It does not hurt you. Last I checked, there's no difference in terms of the upper back and the traps. Because what is it that grows your upper back and traps? Way to stretch. So the range of motion thing, the range of motion argument, number one, is fucking bullshit. It holds zero value when talking about heavy pulls. What matters is way to stretch. So rack pulls above the knee versus conventional deadlift, it's the same way to stretch. The only thing you got to account for is how long you're under the bar for. So the same thing is going to apply for the trap bar deadlift. You're still getting the same upper back and trap benefits. Like the only difference is going to be in the quad activation. Trap bar is a little bit more quad dominant. It's a little bit less hamstring and spinal erector, but that doesn't mean you're not going to build them. Absolutely not. If you do enough trap bar deadlifts, if you do 700, 800 pounds off the floor, you're going to have spinal erectors of steel. You're going to have glutes and hamstrings of steel. You're going to be a strong motherfucker, you know? You're going to have a strong core. There's no reason why you'd be weak just because it's not a conventional deadlift. That is just dogmatic bullcrap that is not true. Furthermore, the trap bar deadlift is a neutral grip. You know what that means, folks? It means you probably don't even need straps, because it's easier to grab onto something when it's a neutral grip. I don't know why it's like this, but I found that when you do double overhand, number one, that's almost impossible to pull anything past like 4 plates for most guys. And if you go mixed grip, I mean, that kind of removes the issue, but it's not as effective as neutral grip. Neutral grip, you can lift so much more. It's crazy. Like you saw me do, I think it was 615 pounds, trap bar block pulls, no straps. I did that shit for reps, no problem. Because the neutral grip is a lot easier. So you don't have to strap up. You don't have to buy straps, which is going to lead to really good grip development. And also, you eliminate the risk of tearing your bicep. And you're not going to get muscular imbalances from doing so. Like I think it was Alan Thrall who said that when he did a lot of mixed grip deadlifts, one trap started getting higher than the other, and I think that's why he switched over to straps. So guess what? You don't have to strap up. You can just keep using that neutral grip. You're going to get a really strong grip from doing it. No muscular imbalances are going to rise, and the risk of tearing your bicep is inexistent for the most part. It's very hard to tear a bicep in a neutral grip when compared to a supinated grip. Even if you bend your arm, it's very unlikely to happen. So the trap bar deadlift is giving you all these benefits. Other benefits may be related to field athletes. I know that certain sports, like certain athletes can benefit from using the trap bar deadlift. All field athletes, for the most part, they're going to get great gains off using it. Like trap bar deadlift, especially like in the off season, is going to complement your performance very well. So it has sport applications in various areas. I know a lot of hockey players use the trap bar deadlift. Lots of football players, like there's so much sport-specific application. It can mimic the car deadlift for strongman. Why would it be worthless just because it's not a straight bar? Like I said, the only difference is that the conventional deadlift is a little bit more spinal erector, a little bit more hamstring, and the trap bar is a little bit more quad. But even at that, when we look at studies, when we look at real studies, and I know that Greg Nuckols conducted an excellent article breaking down the benefits of the trap bar deadlift. Read the article by Greg Nuckols, and you'll see that he's even saying the same thing that I said. In fact, Greg, this is how much I like Greg's work, right? Greg is a competitive powerlifter, okay? And even he said that the trap bar deadlift could be the best style for a very large percentage of population. That if you're not a competitive powerlifter, this could be like the best fucking style of pulling. Go read it. I mean, I'm just paraphrasing what he said there, but he concluded that the trap bar deadlift overall is a better choice, And he's a competitive powerlifter. So you got to listen to advice like that. And I challenge anybody to debate against the points that he raised in that article. Because last I checked, if you're not a competitive powerlifter, you can definitely benefit from this lift. And right now, because I'm aware that it's such a great lift, I will in fact be doing it in my training. I'll be doing trap bar block pulls off different heights. I'll be doing trap bar deadlifts off the floor, low handle, high handle, mixing it up completely, because I think it's going to raise my behind the back deadlift. I think it's going to keep me injury free. I mean, I did them the other day. It felt absolutely phenomenal. So trap bar deadlifts, don't discard them just because you're not a competitive powerlifter. Like I sincerely hope that one day perhaps this can become a competitive lift. Perhaps people can start comparing themselves online. We can get some real competition going on. How cool would it be to see some trap bar deadlift world records? That's something that I want to see. So that's it, folks. If you're not a powerlifter, you don't have to be confined by the rules. You can pull behind the back, Jefferson, trap bar, whatever variation you like. It's all good. At the end of the day, conventional is not the only way of doing things. And if you're strong at the trap bar, you're strong, period. If you're pulling 700, 800 pounds, you got my respect. There's nothing else to say after that point. You don't have to talk about conventional. It's a done deal. You're a strong motherfucker. Point final. So that's it. Give me your feedback down below regarding the trap bar deadlift. I want to know. And with that, I will talk to all of you next time.